This is something that I need to tell you, that landlords are actually liable and they have to comply with 150 different pieces of legislation. So it's quite a hefty number, and that's quite scary. And it's definitely scary as well if you're doing it yourself. So what I thought I would do is I would just touch on 4 of those pieces of legislation this evening out of the 150, mostly because they're quite hot topics at the moment and they're the things that everybody's speaking about, and they're certainly the conversations that we're having with Arla at the moment. So one of them is the Immigration Act 2016, one of them is about council tax, another one is fixed penalty notices and banning orders, and then we're going to talk about EPCs. So just really quickly about kind of all 4 of those subjects. So first of all, the Immigration Act. This isn't new news probably for any of you in the room. We've been doing this now since December 2016. So basically we just need to check everybody and make sure they've got the right to rent and the right to reside in the UK. So that's fine, we've been doing that, we've been checking IDs and checking visas and making sure they've got all the relevant paperwork. But what I thought might be quite relevant to talk about today was that was brought in December 2016, but now we're a year on. So if you're managing your portfolio yourself, or maybe your agent is an Arla, I don't know, there might be varying factors, but what are you doing to make sure that those tenants can still reside in your property? Have you put the proper checks in place? Have you got the paper trail in place? Do you know what you're meant to be doing and what the penalties are? And if you do have an overstayer in your property that doesn't have the right to reside, do you know how to deal with it and what to do with it? So these are all things that we're doing at the moment, obviously in our agency, and making sure that we've got everything documented and we know beforehand, before any of these visas are going to lapse, that we know that we've got them to deal with. So if you're with Justin Lloyd, you're fine. But if you don't, I'm just going to help you a little bit. So first of all, I'll tell you about the penalties, because they are quite severe penalties if you don't do the right procedure. There's actually an unlimited fine now if you're not doing the correct procedures and you're not seen to be doing the right thing. So that's why the paper trail is really important. Or you can be imprisoned for up to 5 years. So they are taking it really, really seriously. So basically what you have to do, just make sure you get the procedures right, is you have to inform the Home Office. So if you know that you've got somebody in your property and they might be an overstayer, you have to inform the Home Office. And that's because the Home Office are actually the people that are going to serve the notices. So they are now going to serve a 28-day vacate notice in order for the tenants to be evicted. The difference is, though, if you've got a property where maybe you've got sharers and some of them are overstayers and some of them are absolutely eligible to stay in the UK, then actually it's a different type of notice, but it still would be the Home Office, so you still have to tell the Home Office. And they would actually serve a Section 8 notice, and it's now, we've got new grounds, which is ground 7B, which is what they would serve, which will evict the tenants that don't have the right to reside, but actually the ones that do have the right to reside will have to remain in the property. So even if they haven't been reference checks for the full amount, even if there are spare rooms in the property, they still have the right to reside. So again, it's really imperative that you're making sure that your agent is doing like inspections and just to make sure that if you've got half the household gone, how are you going to pay the bills and how are you going to pay the rent? So you need to be aware that they might be going to rent arrears, or they might decide to sublet to somebody. So you just need to be on top of that and make sure that you know that they're not doing anything that's breaching their original contract as it stands. And if they are, then you could obviously get them evicted on the normal grounds, so you could do a Section 8 or whatever it is that you need to do to get rid of them. So it's just really about being aware, making sure that you know what people you've got living in the properties, and making sure that they've got everything in place and you know what to do.